Hello, welcome to Linux for Beginners. If you're completely new to the topic, I highly suggest you watch the previous two videos in this series, where I explain if Linux is worth switching to, as well as how to actually install it on your computer. This guide also assumes that you're on CachyOS with KDE Plasma. You can follow along if you're on a different Arch-based distro, but some details may vary. This guide will also attempt to use the terminal as few times as possible. Here's a checklist of what we're going to accomplish today, and for most people, I think that should cover all that you need to use Linux daily. There will also be timestamps if you need to rewatch any sections. Let's go ahead and get started with the basics. The first thing we're going to do here is take a look at what's installed. It works pretty much like how it does on Windows. Click in the bottom left corner or press the Windows key, which in Linux terms we call the super key, and presto, we got our good old familiar start menu. Let's take a look at all the applications installed. There's not much. Alacrity spawns a very nice looking terminal. Arc is how you extract files, so it's a 7-zipper WinRAR replacement. Dolphin is the name of your file explorer. GwenView lets you view images. KWrite and Kate are two different text editors. KWrite is the one closest to regular Notepad, while Kate is more like VS Code. MPV is how you can play videos and listen to music. It's like VLC but better. Spectacle takes screenshots. System Monitor is the task manager. And I feel like system settings and volume control are pretty self-explanatory. Most of the other stuff you can explore on your own time, but you've pretty much got all the essentials you need. Now that we've walked through what's already here, we can start learning how to use the package manager. Since we're not using the terminal today, we're actually going to use this application, Octopi. It basically types all the commands for you without you having to open a separate terminal and remember the command. If you're using a distro that doesn't have Octopi, then you'll have to figure out what your package manager front end is yourself, or open a terminal and type sudo pacman-s octopi, and it'll appear in your applications list. Alright, opening it up, it's fairly obvious what's going on here. We have a nice search bar at the top where we can search for what we want to install. We can also see our installed packages, which have a green symbol to the left indicating that it's installed. Let's install an example package. Let's try Kdenlive, the software I've been using on Linux to edit these videos. Simply search for it in the list and right-click it to install. In this case, there are two different sources for repositories. If you don't know which one to pick, go with the CachyOS one, or if that's not available, Extra works. If it doesn't work out, you can always uninstall it and try from the other repository. I'm on CachyOS, so I'll go ahead and pick that one. Next, it'll ask us if we want to install some optional dependencies, and most of the time you'll want to do all of them. It's going to add all the things to install to a queue, then click the checkmark to start it and type your password to confirm. You might see other packages you don't recognize in there, but those are required dependencies, so don't worry. All of the packages on here are completely safe to install. Let's go ahead and start it, and you'll see that the Output tab is showing us what's going on. The command has finished running, so now we can find the application in our start menu. It's just that easy. Uninstalling works the same way. Just right-click, remove, and confirm. You might have noticed that the icon next to the other Kdenlive turned yellow. That indicates that there's a conflict and you can't install both packages at the same time for obvious reasons. Alright, moving on, let's try installing Unnamed Sound Voltex Clone, a game I really like. Doesn't look like it's here. If I go on my browser and search its name plus Arch Linux, well, I see it right here. But if you take a look at the top left, it says User Repository. This is the Arch User Repository, also known as the AUR. It's where developers can submit their apps for people to download. Because AUR packages technically aren't curated, they're not always 100% safe. However, for big programs that aren't part of the official repository, it's pretty likely that people have scrutinized it already and verified that it's safe. In this case, I trust the program, so I'm going to install it. But in Octopi, it's not showing up. Why? You have to click this little alien icon to enable AUR packages so you can see it. There we go. Well wait, now there's like a bunch of them. This is where I explain suffixes. There's really only two suffixes you need to know. -bin and -git. Whenever you install a program, the one with no suffix typically compiles the latest stable release on your computer and installs it. -bin means that it just downloads an already compiled program and just slaps it on your computer. -git means that it takes the latest commit to the GitHub repository and compiles it on your computer. If you have no idea what that means or entails, stay away from -git. You really should just be using the standard package or the -bin package if that's not working, or is unavailable. Let's also fix one more thing real quick. Exit out of AUR mode on Octopi, and then open Tools, then go to your options. Click on AUR on the left side and tick the box that says --no confirm. What this does is that as soon as you type in your password to install, it will automatically accept all the prompts from there, saving you some time. If you're like me and don't really look too closely at what's going on anyway, this is a no-brainer. And that's it! That's everything you need to know about the package manager. Let's review. First, open Octopi, then search for your thing in the title bar, and if it's not there, click the alien to enable AUR mode, find your program in the list, and prioritize the regular install over the bin and get ones. Right-click to install, and you can find your program in the start menu. You don't have to jump through ad-ridden sites or spend time manually extracting stuff for yourself. It's all done in one nice little place super easily. There's still 2 more ways to install Linux applications that I haven't gone over: Flatpaks and Appimages. Don't worry, they have a lot less things you need to worry about. Go ahead and open Octopi and install 2 packages, Discover and Fuse2. Yeah, that's it. If you open Discover, you can see that it's also a place where you can install apps. Typically, this is the most stable installation method, and some distros actually have this as the main app install method because of how stable it is. The reason that I would make it a second priority is because typically Flatpaks use more disk space and sometimes have slightly worse performance compared to the package manager version. It's just another option if it's not available on the package manager, or if the package manager version just isn't working. It's fairly straightforward. Just search for what you want as normal and click install from FlatHub and watch it go. It functions a lot like an app store with a section where you can click a button to update everything. Alright, let's move on to the last way you can install a program, Appimages and Executables. This is typically your last resort since it's not as reliable as Flatpaks and isn't as easy to install as a package manager. This pretty much is the same as it is on Windows. Go online, find the file in question, download it, then you just double click it. Yeah, for real. It'll ask you twice if you want to run on the first time, but you can check the box to make executables run without asking if you prefer how it works on Windows. For executables, it's the exact same. Just open the folder with the program you want to run and find the .sh file. Just double click and bam, you're in. It's pretty much exactly like you'd expect. And unless the program has a built-in updater, you'll have to update it manually by re-downloading, just like it is on Windows. That wraps up all the application installation methods, so let's recap one more time. You'll want to use Octopi, and then the AUR mode of Octopi, then Discover, then the app image or executable version. And Octopi and Discover basically function like app stores, so they're self-explanatory. Next, we're going to talk about how to set up multiple storage drives on your computer. If you open up Dolphin, you may or may not see any other drives you have on your computer. Your Linux install resides on what's essentially your C drive on Windows, so how do you make your other drives automatically mount so you can have more storage and install stuff on them? Well, you guessed it. We need to install a couple packages. Go ahead and install these 2, NTFS3G and GNOME Disk Utility. Next, let's go ahead and open up disks from our start menu. On here, we can see what drives are connected. I have my 1TB hard drive that I used on Windows for extra storage right here, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate on it. First thing to notice is under volumes it says 1TB of NTFS storage. The NTFS part is important. Next, click this button in the corner of the volume named Additional Partition Options, and then Edit Mount Options. Next, check Mount at System Startup if it isn't already, and on top of Mount Point, I put all of these options to try and make sure there is as few issues between Windows and Linux as possible. The only actually essential one here is no fail, so go ahead and type that in if it's not already there. Next, the file system type. Remember earlier how mine said NTFS storage? We need to type NTFS-3G here to make sure it's good. I believe other file system formats should work, but you'll have to type them in manually like exFAT. With that, it should be good to go. Next time you boot up, your disk should be easy to find in Dolphin, and you should have full permissions to do whatever you want in it. Okay, we're almost there. This is a section where I'm going to explain some other stuff I like to install. First and number 1 priority is Wine. I imagine you've already heard about it, but basically it's a compatibility program that lets you attempt to run Windows applications on Linux. It's not foolproof, especially if you don't want to tinker much, but it's definitely super convenient for any compatible software. Once you have it installed, you can just start double clicking on .exes to run them. One that I think could potentially be useful for everyone is Winboat. It's currently in beta, so it's not completely finished, but as it gets fleshed out, it'll be super useful. What it does is it basically streamlines the process of making a virtual machine with Windows, then giving it a lot better integration with your Linux install. It has already been shown to be able to run the Microsoft Office suite, so it's pretty promising. It currently doesn't have GPU acceleration, and it can't bypass kernel level anti-cheat, so it's not exactly perfect for gaming. The biggest con is that you have to reserve a lot of space for essentially tacking on an entire Windows install on top of Linux. I think in the future it'll be really helpful for helping transition people between Windows and Linux. Next, I recommend you pick up all of these if you're gaming, otherwise you can probably skip all of these. Pause to take a look if you're interested. I'll also go over all of these packages again in the next video. That about wraps up this video. We learned how to install all kinds of programs. You should now be able to daily drive Linux if you want. If there's anything else you guys want to know or need help understanding, let me know. I'm happy to respond to comments. The next video in the series will focus entirely on running games well in Linux, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.